Hey everyone, Happy New Year. It is December 31st and I'm just walking along the garden today. It is, as you can tell, a rainy day here in Southern California, and the brickwork holding up really nicely. I think that was one of the nicest things I did for the garden this past year. I've got the apricot tree and the foxglove down below there, the Arabian jasmine, bearded iris, and the violas have really started to take off already, and I've been really happy with those. And in front, of course, the white kufia. Roses in this bed still pretty dormant, and then beautiful gumdrop shaped bay laurel. Over here, got the bricks continuing, and it'll be about another week or two and I'll do the next batch around the garden. That'll finish off the bricks for this area. And cherry tree, pittosporum and beach ball in the background, and some catmint. What's really exciting here, this is a rose called Lynn Anderson, and you can see that we've already got some of the buds beginning to leaf out. So probably in the next week or so, I'll actually see some leaves again, which will be fantastic. The Hicks yew there, surrounded by hollyhock, and of course some of the violas here in this bed as well. Kind of more of a Victorian type of color there. I did move some of the lilies, cut those back, dug them up in other parts of the garden, and stuck them in here, so they'll look really fantastic. Come around June or July is when they'll normally bloom here. Got oriental lilies. This is a tree lily here where that stake is, and then this stake over here in front of the plum tree is a double pink flower that's super fragrant. So I'm really excited about that. Did some more true pansies down here. Really liked those colors of blooms, and of course beautiful branching on the plum tree. Mulched a little bit more, got that second batch of irises planted, and in the background here I got a dwarf mugo pine, so that's looking fantastic, and I'm sure it's happy to be out of the container it was in. A few more hollyhock in the back, and then over here you can see I kind of worked the area around that arborvitae back there, and I also started cutting back the Fuji apple, since that's going to be replaced with a crabapple tree. And of course I'm taking this out too because it did get some fire blight and I lost about half of the tree already. So it's supposed to be a really rainy week this week. I'll at least get the rest of the roses pruned, and I'll be done with rose pruning at least here. There's one more run of iceberg roses out in the front. A few more leaves need to be lost on the Anna apple, and I'll prune that back. So maybe another week or two yet, and then I'll continue to work on that macadamia tree and lace it out like I did with the lower branches. Yeah, I also need to prune the climbing rose. That was one rose that escaped pruning last year, so I have to make sure I get it done this year. So this is the crabapple tree I'm putting in. Really excited because obviously we don't see crab apples too often. The variety here is Centurian, and it's got some beautiful, maybe call that fuchsia colored flowers, which is mostly why I'm getting it. I like flowering trees much more than like the crab apples per se. Again, some things that need to get planted. Picked up some fairy primrose. Those conifers were last week, foxglove and the curly flowered pansies. Also picked up yesterday a banana shrub, and I'm going to keep that at the very back of the property because that is very, very fragrant. We've got sweet pea bush. This is a dwarf, and scaviola. And then in the back, I thought when I was walking through the nursery that this was a variety of holly. It is not. It is actually an osmanthus with holly-shaped leaves, which I thought was pretty cool. But I wanted to add a little bit more color to the garden. It was just being, you know, you can only have so many shades of green. Once again, the dogwood there, and I need to do pruning on these so that they look like that first shrub. So there's a lot of work to do there. I did cut back the fig as well this week and really lace that out nicely. That's actually from a seedling, and it has never produced fruit, but I bought it mostly for, or I didn't buy it, it's seeded, but I got it standing mostly because of the straight trunk, and just in case if that fence ever falls down, it's not going to fall very, very far. So it's got a good support against it. I'm going to put a pomegranate in here. I did prune all the tree roses, got those done. Still getting a lot of leaf drop right now from the hymnosporum tree or sweet shade. Dahlia, got a cool chamaecyparis in the back here, and the fern is doing fantastic. Called the Japanese maple a Japanese Aurelia in a video a couple weeks ago, so I apologize for that, but looking forward to this leafing out as well. It leaves out fairly late, so probably February or even early March. Got a carex there. We've got some different types of ajuga down below, both chocolate chip and the variegated. Another batch of fern, daylily trying to escape the weeds. And also down in here, we've got some lemon balm, which is one of my favorite plants. You crush the leaves up and it has a really strong citrus fragrance. And then over here, I planted these years and years ago. This is Lycosium, and got the first flower already with that. So that's really cool and exciting. The lavenders already beginning to bud up for some bloom, so it's nice to have some color in that corner. And this is a celebrity tree rose, so it'll be yellow flower. And then don't really have a whole bunch of buds beginning to open quite yet. Probably another 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll have some color on the magnolia tree, and that's one of my favorite trees and super fragrant. And this week I'll also cut down the society garlic there on either side, and that's about it for this week's video. So I'll see you next week.